And joined by the non-candidate, our great friend Dave Petzo, the host of Money Matters, on KIDO Talk Radio. You know, we missed you on Saturday, but the crew there, I had a chance, actually, one of the rare days I was in, and bumped into them. They were here early.
Yes, they were.
Like you.
They were here early.
They were very eager and ready to go. We missed Dave Petzo, but I wanted to let you know they did a great job.
Well, thank you for that. Good. I can't wait to hear.
I was listening again and again and again. So, it's interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about what the State House is doing, and we're going to try not to, regurgitate what you talked about on Channel 7. Again, great folks there, but we want to have unique and compelling
Fresh
content here. Yes. When people think of Kevin Miller, they think of fresh.
That's what I think all the time.
Boy, where's the defibrillator? Are we facing a crisis here in the state of Idaho because we're too good to be true? And the reason why I say this is California, it just came out that they're one of the richest states, but they're also one of the poorest states. We had a young lady who is beloved in San Francisco, Melanie Morgan, from KSFO Radio, who does some stuff nationally. All her friends are moving to Idaho. She was on Zillow or Zilio or Realtor.com looking at places in Eagle. Are we on the verge of having a huge influx of people from California coming to Idaho? And if so, will they compared to California, obviously the lifestyle is 1,000% better when we're talking business and regulations, but can any state be prepared for that?
I don't think so, Kevin. I think you bring up a really good point. Is it crisis? Well, it could become, in a sense. And if you will, it's a first world problem that so many people want to come live where you are, and it generates so much wealth that becomes a problem. But the reality is that the reason we love Boise so much is that it's not so crowded. It's not so busy. You can go to the park and not basically be walking in a line of people. There are a number of reasons we love this community, and going and disappearing into the foothills. If you can't disappear anymore, it's not the same feeling, is it? You're up there with a zillion other people. It is a bit of a problem, but it is nothing we can stop because the state of California has completely lost its mind. But that's not new. People have been moving here for 20 years. I just think it's accelerating now. And part of that, I think, is the mobility of jobs. You don't have to be in a certain spot to do your work from a computer. And I think that's just going to accelerate, Kevin. So, yeah, I'm afraid our lifestyle, we've been discovered, and people are moving here in droves.
Well, I will say this, and even, past the beloved city of Boise, but, you take a look at, out in the hinterland, the smallest city in Ada County, Star, where I reside, we've got houses, building into my subdivision and such, and it used to be a pretty recluse place, and it's just going on and on. To a degree, that's great. And you've always said that one day this will be another Denver.
Yeah. And
I met a guy who lived in Denver. He's from Arkansas, a great guy, and he didn't like Denver.
No, I don't like Denver either. I'm just saying it's an unfortunate destiny of more and more people alive in the world, right? And they want to be congregating in beautiful places, and Boise is one of those beautiful places. So is northern Idaho. It's exploding as well.
So can any state or city government deal with this? We see the explosion in Meridian. We see it in Nampa. We see it everywhere here in the Treasure Valley. I mean, is it impact fees? And for people that aren't familiar with impact fees, if you could just give us a brief synopsis of those at KIDO Talk Radio.
Sure.
I mean, it's been discussed in Nampa. It's been discussed other places. People in the West Ada School District are frustrated because the taxes are going up again. Well, because we've got this historic population growth fueled a lot by migration.
We are. And, of course, it looks great to the local politicians because, they can put up new parks and new pretty things. But the reality is, again, as we talked, it changes our lifestyle. But as far as what impact fees are, they charge them to developers because of they need to put in new roads and sewer, electrical, all those things that have an impact to all of the areas around. But you think about that, it's not just the road right in front of that subdivision. It's the roads all the way back because the population that's coming to that subdivision has to be fixed. And that's where the impact fees come into place. I think most people understand that the developers have to put in their own roads and electrical and sewer and all that at that spot. But when we need more capacity at the sewage plant, we need more capacity on the roads. All of those things impact the rest of us that are already have, quotes, paid the impact fees. Let's not pretend that the developers pay it. They don't. The individuals buying the homes do.
Would that be a way to pay for all this stuff?
It is, and that's what they do. But most of the time, as we know, hey, it doesn't matter if we're pretty good at business. Government still is terrible at business and terrible at making decisions. And so whatever
You're a big fan of government.
Huge fan of government, yeah. If I want to see a dollar disintegrate, if I want to watch all my personal liberties taken away, I am a big fan. That's what more government does all the time. And yes, of course we need rules and regulations, but there is such a large bureaucracy surrounding all of this that we do spend an awful lot of those impact fees that have nothing to do with widening the roads. They have everything to do with the giant bureaucracy that has been created.
Dave Petzo joining us here at KIDO Talk Radio. So before we get back to some of these local issues, I do want to get your take on the government. By the way, Dave will take your calls at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But I want to get your thoughts on this looming government shutdown. I'm sure that you are fearful that the government would shut down, being that you're such a big fan of government.
Well, it obviously would be a negative impact to both the stock market, the momentum of the economy and this administration right now. And so, no, I'm sure that the Democrats would like to shut it down. I don't think they're going to be able to. I think that the Republicans will bind together and get this resolution passed. And I really do think it will continue on, because right now the Republicans always get blamed. You and I have talked about this endlessly, right? It does not make any difference if all the Democrats stood up and just said, no, we can't vote for this. They would still somehow, that would be blamed on the Republicans. So until that changes, and someday it might, I think you just have to, as the Republicans you have to go ahead and just not let it shut down. So I think they won't.
Moving along with Dave Petzo here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's hit you with this one. The stock market poised to go to 26,000 if it hasn't already. I mean, we're talking, in 7 days, up 1,000 points or something ridiculous like that?
Yep.
Are we, again, going too high here? Are we looking for a correction?
I'm always looking for a correction, Kevin, because we get 10% or greater correction per year on average. We haven't had one for a while. But to sit around and wait for what is inevitable is crazy. And this has kept people out of the market. It's really something to think about this simple fact. From 2008, we have watched the market go up more than 300%, and we've watched more money by the average investor taken out of the market. It makes no sense at all. It's been a complete whiff for the average person out there. They've completely missed this. And one of the things that people miss all the time in the market is the fact that you have to be in it to win. And that includes being in it when the market has its normal, periodic, certain to occur, over and over again, all the days of our lives, market corrections. They happen. And people have been calling for it for thousands of points. And I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to happen. I'll tell you it will happen. We never know when. Will it be another couple thousand points from here or not? And when we talk about bubbles and all that nonsense that people have to come up with because they can't come up with anything new, and we're talking about the bubble in 2000, or is this the real estate bubble of 06 and 07? And the answer is no. And the fact that the market's moving higher, it should. We just re-rated these companies with lower tax rate, and therefore they should be selling at much higher prices, and they are.
Dave Petzo joining us here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But again, what goes up must come down, right?
No, it does not. We've talked about that for years. What goes up comes back a little and then goes to all-time highs. Pulls back periodically, back to all-time highs. And all-time meaning it does not come all the way back down, and it goes higher highs and higher lows.
Dave Petzo joining us as we continue on. Phone numbers that we've given you Also, you can get us at Kevin at KIDOTalkRadio.com. So, all these folks coming in from California or other states, not only California, but we're hearing now that people are moving to the Southeast, which they have for years, but also the Mountain West because of the low taxation, and the state's kind of dealing with that. We'll get to that in a minute. But all these, do you expect more people, let's say, from New York and other, maybe even Connecticut or not Vermont, but Delaware is what I was saying, these heavy tax states to start moving because of the new Trump tax reform? I do.
I think that's finally going to be. This is a huge dagger to the Democrats and the extreme high tax blue states that will not get their costs under control. They've continued to buy votes from unions and school teachers. Sure. That's their whole MO. And so what they've done is they've continued to dole out more than they could and have to raise taxes later. And so far they've been being bailed out by the federal government on the high end because people can write off, let's call it a 40% tax break at that point if you're in the highest federal tax bracket. But now you can't write them off, and I think people will continue. But, Kevin, that's not new. This is not new at all. Jersey has had a huge outflow. Not too long ago on Money Matters, I was talking about the inflow and the outflow of tax revenue from in state to state, like you're talking about Delaware and Jersey and all, and how much Florida was picking up as an example. But we're talking about billions of dollars annually that have been lost in these, let's go ahead and tax the rich. And as if, again, the rich are not even as smart as an amoeba. Because remember, an amoeba, if you poke it, it will move. And we act like the taxpayers will not do anything no matter how many times you poke them. And that's crazy.
Well, and that's what, again, I don't know if we're set up for this when we're talking about this. I don't know if we're set up to handle this great inflow.
Well, Kevin, it's a good point, but our inflow is not a tax inflow. Idaho is one of the highest tax states in the country. It doesn't quite approach on the high end California, but the reality is we're not low, and we get to the highest tax bracket, which is 8%. We get to there very, very quickly on not a high income. So it's not, if you're looking for just taxes, Idaho's not it.
More with Dave Petzo next. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's get to the phones with our great friend Dave Petzo. Mark in Eagle joins us now. Mark, good morning.
Hey, Kevin. Good morning, Dave. Hey, I'm out here in Star again, so for some unknown reason, when I'm out here on my cell phone, it doesn't work too well out here in your stomping grounds, Kevin. But I had a question for you guys regarding, first off, before I get to my question I was going to ask, is Dave, you had mentioned about if the average investor is not invested in the stock market, who's buying into it other than corporations buying their own stock back and shoving up the value of the stock market? That was the first question I had, and then I want to get to my main question. So if you answer that quickly, then I'll ask my main question.
Sure. Real fast, of course, you're right. There is a lot of corporate stock has been bought back by the companies, so there is a shortage. The second part of that is there's not a lot of new IPOs. It's been because of all the regulations that are out there. When you go public, a lot of companies have chosen to stay private when in the old days they launched IPOs. So we're seeing less of that. We also saw a lot less business creation under Obama. And so I think you're going to see more down the road because that should be incubating, but we didn't have as many incubators. Finally, you have 401k money coming in. That's pretty regular all the time. And yes, that would be your average person. But what I'm saying is that we only have a little over 50% of the people that are participating in the greatest wealth creator ever, and it was historically. It's not just now, and so we just can't seem to learn that. And it should be 100% of the people investing, right? Because of the great wealth creation it has been. It's just disappointing that so much money has come out of the market and missed this, all based on fear of another 2008 coming.
Okay, well, thanks for answering that one. Now, my main question, sir, is this. Okay, when Trump's tax plan went through, we discovered that the state's going to get almost $100 million out of state Idaho or Idaho, tax payers here in the state of Idaho. Now, my question is, there's been talk about trying to repeal the food tax. Does anybody know the estimates at present the last few years at 6% on the dollar for your taxes on foods, what that comes out as revenue for the state of Idaho. Because where I'm going with this is if they can't agree to do away with the food tax here, since our state taxes are as high as they are, why not our legislator and the governor readjust that $100 million that the state would get under the current Trump tax plan that supposedly reduced the federal taxes, but they get some of that back into the coffers here in the state, and either reduce the sales tax down to a more, acceptable level to absorb that $100 million that the state would get. What's your thoughts on that? And I'll let you go.
All right, Mark, we appreciate that.
I don't know that the state is getting the money. I think that the estimate is that the $100 million will be you and I. We're all getting a collective tax cut of $100 million, but that's not coming to the state, so they could then use more budget, or they could use that in their budget. But so I don't think that's going to have an impact regarding how we could or couldn't get this grocery tax taken care of. Now, as far as that goes, I don't know what the numbers are, Kevin. I don't. Do you? I haven't seen them. I know we will in the argument. How much we're losing has got to be offset. So that's certainly a number that's available. I guess we need to ask Google, huh?
Well, I agree with you to an extent, but I mean, we could go on and on about numbers and everything in the grocery tax. And again, that's been debated year in and year out. But let's switch over gears to the businesses. We've got a new bill that is looking to provide tax relief, which you've talked about. And again, like I said, when we're from our friends at Channel 7 here, from our, how business friendly we're going to be, the idea of, if it's passed, could reduce for most employers their unemployment taxes by an additional 30% over the course of the next 3 years. You'd save about $115 million with the same time frame. Our friend Matt Erpelding, House Minority Leader, it's going to put more money to the hands of businesses. Your thoughts?
Anytime you can do that is attractive to business. And remember, we all work for a business, a small business of some kind, whether it's your own or you are an employee. These small businesses are the lifeblood of all of the job creation, and certainly in a state like Idaho it is. As we see the bigger employers, the HPs, continue to cut back and cut back and cut back until they're almost not talked about anymore as being part of this valley. So it is small business. It's the horizon. You've talked about this, Kevin, of all these little incubators out there that are doing amazing things globally, actually quite global, in small businesses of 20 or 50 or 100 people, and that's what's driving the job market. So anything that brings some relief, some regulatory relief in particular, but tax relief as well, is very, very attractive to small business, and that's why they want to locate here.
Well, and we're talking about the unemployment fund, I believe. Is now overfunded. It's about $780 million in it. Now, before, the state of Idaho had to actually borrow money from the federal government during the bad times to pay that.
Yeah, and it shows you how strong the job market has been, and it has been very slow to react to cutting those premiums down.
Maybe they should wait till they get to $1 billion.
And is that the magic number?
I don't know. Maybe it is. More coming up with our great friend Dave Petzo. Time for traffic. Back to Dave Petzo. So in our final few seconds here together, what should we be looking out for this week?
It's earnings. We're getting back into earnings season, Kevin, and we saw a big rally on Friday. There's two things I would look for here, and that is just this continued rush of trying to get money into this market. People have blown it. They missed it. And this isn't just on the quotes, little guy pulling out like we were discussing earlier. This is also hedge funds and all that have been misappropriating and been incorrectly negative on the market, sometimes because of politics. But the reality is they didn't see this coming, and they are trying to rush to catch up. And so we're seeing some of that money rush in, but with earnings being predicted to be very good and the outlook to be very strong, I would be focusing on earnings the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Dave Petzo joining us here as we take a look at other things. Finally, China used to be the hot place to go. You think India is the next place?
I do. I've always thought that India, being the world's largest democracy, would be the country that was able to sustain that type of growth. They have many problems there, of course. We all know about the poverty there, but the caste system that they have is having to be dismantled. It's been very, very difficult. There's a lot of corruption, as there is in any third world country. But at least there is a voting bloc, and democracy and freedom is a very important thing. And there is a good work ethic in India as well. So, again, I would look for the continued rise of India. They've got a very strong capitalist government right now, and it is really doing a lot to try to remove some of the, if you will, the corruption barriers to growth.
Dave Petzo, Money Matters. Anything else coming up this week?
Nope, it's all about earnings, it's all about that money flow, and it's all about finding some kind of cheap stock, and it is harder to do than it used to be.
You heard it here first from our friend Dave Petzo. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And joining us now from the Stream, managing editor Al Peretta. Al, good to have you back.
Hi, how you doing this morning?
Not bad, boy. This is the first time we've delved into this because apparently now there's a draft Oprah moment, and Oprah can beat Donald Trump. And, what's it going to be next when we're taking a look at what's going to derail? Could we bring back President Obama, maybe Michelle Obama, but just crazy here.
Yeah, let's stick with Oprah. And I think she could take both Obamas at the same time, yeah. So,
let's delve into this. So is this just much ado about nothing, or what do you think?
Well, she'd be formidable if she decided to do it. Personally, I don't think she'd want to give up what it would take to give up to do it, and that's sort of the part of my article is that she could run. It'd be great. It'd be like the daytime queen against primetime king. Best thing since Alien versus Predator. But I don't think she's going to do it. I think it's just a lot of hype. And if you actually look at this speech, it was a good speech, the one that ignited all this stuff. But I think it was more about the desperate hope the Democrats have for somebody to take down Trump more than what she said. I didn't get the chills down, my spine or anything like that. It was good. It was great. It was Oprah. She's Oprah. That's why she's Oprah. But I think more it was this, this thing that's so desperate to get Trump. What is the next shiny thing that will take down Trump? And I think she was last week's shiny thing. By the end of the week, it was his comments. It was Led's comments. That was the big shiny thing. This week will be something else, I think.
Well, in reality, she's very liberal, right?
Yeah, yes. Well, very liberal, compared to, some of the other people she'd be running against if she did do it. Probably not. She has a business empire. That's one thing she has. That she does have is that she has an inbox and an outbox. She created an empire. You don't produce movies without having certain skill set that is pretty important to have in a job like that most of these radicals on the left, these Elizabeth Warren types, wouldn't even dream of having, or Bernie Sanders types. So she's probably more moderate than those folks. She'd get bashed probably from the left if she did run.
No, that's a really good point. On the other hand, I take a look at Oprah, and all you'd have to do is go back to her close association with the Obamas.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that would be a victory in the Democratic primary because you would have people saying she can bring back the coalition, but just because you're a great communicator doesn't mean you have the gravitas to be president. Al, would that play into it, her close association with the Obamas?
Yeah. Well, that's if you're Donald Trump, that's one of the things you'd run against. You wouldn't run against Oprah. You'd run against Obama if Oprah were running. You'd say, do we really want to go back to that? Look how the economy's booming. Look how this good thing is happening. Do we really want to go back to that? So it'd be like going backwards. Look, she helped make Obama president. So yeah, it would weigh on her in that sense. And it would help in the primaries probably to some degree, but in the general election, Trump would be like saying Obama more than Oprah probably.
Well, who do you think? I know it's really early, and just like during the primaries and the presidential campaign, it was gloom and doom for the Republicans. But who are some of the early folks that you think will run in 2020? Do they have anybody besides, bring back Bernie, Hillary one more time, and Joe Biden maybe, sir?
Man, they don't have a bench. None of these people Oprah, to me, Oprah's the only one whose name has even been mentioned, who I think even would have a shot, any sort of shot against a Donald Trump, especially a Donald Trump who will be obsessed with the idea of winning the popular vote and winning huge. I think he'll be obsessed with that, and he's going to make like 2016 look like a picnic. I think so. Somebody's going to be up there as a sacrificial lamb. I think, but you hear Andrew Cuomo's name, but he's got ethic issues. You got Joe Biden's name mentioned, and he's got some other of these sexual impropriety, harassment-y type things floating around out there. Bernie Sanders, again, he couldn't even beat Hillary. Elizabeth Warren, I imagine, would be good. Cory Booker is probably going to make a run for it, too. He might have some game, because he was actually a mayor and actually did some things. But we'll see. It's just going to be a dogfight. They're all going to want to take a shot at Trump and scratch and claw and nail and fight and bite each other to try to get that shot.
Well, here's another thing. Al Peretta joining us from the stream at KIDO Talk Radio from our friend Jeremy going, isn't The Rock going to run?
Maybe some of these Trump makes The Rock or Mark Cuban. They might. But what I think about when I think of somebody like The Rock or Mark Cuban is I think of Rick Perry in 2012. Everybody kind of wanted him to run. It sounded like a cool idea. He gets in and looks stupid because he wasn't prepared. I think this is something you have to think about and prepare for years before you actually do it. And you can't just say, I think I'm going to run for president. It looks like fun. Looks like I can do it. You have to really bone up on it for a few years before you even think about it, or else you're going to look foolish. So maybe The Rock's been doing that. Between takes on a movie set, he's been boning up on Eastern European agriculture policy or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Who would you rather have, Oprah, The Rock, or I'm trying to think, Bernie or Hillary? Do you think Hillary Clinton's going to come back one more time?
No, I don't. I think she's got at least three DOJ investigations going on right now, and I think she'll have enough to do dealing with lawyers and potential criminal charges and things like that. You hope for her sake, take the victory of having broken the glass ceiling and go away. And I don't think the Democrats are going to want her around. And I don't think she'd be that stupid to try that.
Amazing. Al, what else should we be looking out for? Anything?
Well, again, with Trump, you never know. That's what makes it amazing. Like we agreed to talk about Oprah. That seems already like months ago because of all the other things that have happened. And I think we just keep our eyes open and our hearts to God and see what the year holds and just breathe a little bit and try to be nice to each other on Twitter. Maybe that's the thing. Just be nice to each other on social media, and we'll all end up being all well in 2018.
All right, Al. Keep your powder dry.
All right, thanks a lot. Bless you. Have a great day.
All right, you as well. Al Peretta joining us from thestream.org. Max in Garden City with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin Miller. I'm thinking about this Oprah for president thing, and of course, it's a far-fetched idea. But if they wanted to push it, think about it. Obama became president because the Democrats got together with Hollywood propaganda. They played the race card, pushed him in. Over 8 years of bungling and playing golf, they kept him in a holy spot playing the race card. What is going to happen if we get a black woman? Now they can play their woman card and the race card, and she's a very likable woman. She's like Bill Clinton in that, you talk with her for 5 minutes, you're ready to stop a bullet for her. It's scary. But if the media wanted to push her in and she wanted to go, even though Trump is doing a great job, the media would continue to demonize him and glorify her. In China, all my friends, they look at this situation and they say the same thing. Are Americans really that stupid? We have a saying, the two greatest exports of the United States are agriculture and propaganda. Said my piece.
Max joining us here. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. I just can't see Oprah having the guts to do it. And again, she goes back to Obama. And I think people are fed up with Obama. By the way, LeBron James, basketball star, has this to say to the Trump nation. You always hear about people risking their life. King actually gave up his life for the betterment of all of us. To be able to live in a free world and for us to be able to have a voice to go out and be free no matter what your skin color, no matter who you are, whatever the case may be. He had a vision, took a bullet for us. For us to stand now, even though we're trying to be divided by somebody, it's a great day for people to realize that we have to stand united as Americans, that we know we believe in the greatest country of all. And then he, went on and on about the state of racism. Boy, blah, blah, blah. The guy in control has given people and racism and negative racism, I don't know if that's double negative, an opportunity to be out and outspoken without fear. And that's the fearful thing for us because it's with you and it's around you every day. But he's allowed people to come up and feel just confident about doing things. And, again, taking shots at Donald Trump, that is LeBron James.
Why is it that Americans will see a group of white people beat up a young black man or something, and this is racism, this is a hate crime? Then you turn around and you get a group of black people beat the dog meat out of a white person. It's not racism. Americans don't recognize that racism exists in all spectrums on both sides of that fence. We're so afraid. We become so conditioned. We are so thin-skinned and afraid of the race card that we will buckle under and give everything away just to avoid the controversy. Here's a controversial statement for you. Martin Luther King was a great man and did great things. But had they not played the race card, there wouldn't be a national holiday for him today. Tell me I'm wrong.
Max, we appreciate the call. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Our great friend Max, he's continuing to talk. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Something else going on here, and I think that this is something that needs to be addressed. The state of California. No, I know we live in Idaho, but we have this issue with many people tired of California, tired of the mudslides, tired of the taxes, tired of the liberals getting ready to come here. And California is not looking good. Here's our own Peter Ducey at KIDO Talk Radio.
A dozen people wound up in handcuffs this weekend for trying to help their homeless neighbors by hand-delivering food and toiletries. The reason that officials in El Cajon outlawed distributing food in parks and other city-owned places is because they say they want to stop the spread of deadly hepatitis A, but some locals are looking at it as a way to drive the homeless out of town. So a group called Break the Ban decided to test the will of local law enforcement. They've now got misdemeanor citations to show for their efforts. When the LAPD tried to do something similar by cleaning up the notorious Skid Row neighborhood, they closed bathrooms there, also because they said they were trying to stop the spread of disease.
There we have it, Peter Ducey from Fox. Remember, when you hear Fox on the radio, you're hearing KIDO Talk Radio in the Treasure Valley. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you have California now, one of the richest states, but also one of the poorest states, one of the highest tax states, and you have people saying it's time to go. Of course, they're looking to come here, and there are a lot of great people from California, and of course, there are a lot of libs from California that are going to seek to redefine Idaho. Now, like, quite frankly, we could be overrun. I know what you're thinking. Who's this kook on KIDO Talk Radio? No. Take a look at other states. You take a look at Colorado. You take a look at what's going on in Alaska. Take a look at the state of New Hampshire. At one time, one of the most conservative. Then it turned libertarian, and then you had people coming in from the South, invading from the South, literally. No, not from some foreign country, but from Massachusetts. And now you have the libs taking over there. As I've said before, this state reminds me of the state of New Hampshire many years ago. Now, that's where we come in, and to try and stem the tide. But, I do get concerned about this, where you have more people coming in. And look, this state is the friendliest state in the union. It's the most welcoming. It's the most open. But I hope that we don't have a giant turnover here. You take a look at the homeless problem in the city of Boise. People love, I look at things differently. And I very rarely say and I apologize for that. People talk about this is Boise. And Boise's a great place, but it's controlled by a progressive liberal agenda. It's controlled by people that want to weigh in on the national health care debate. They want to back President Obama back when he was president. They want to make outrageous claims. And it's very different from the cities that are outside its city, Meridian, Kuna, Nampa, a very different lifestyle. And there's more to the Treasure Valley than the city of Boise. And you take a look at Ada County, and you take a look at other things, and you think to yourself, my goodness gracious, could Ada County one day be lost? I mean, that's the issue. Thankfully, we have Canyon County, staunchly conservative, but the battle, the contest needs to be in Ada County as well. I mean, what would that say if all of a sudden the biggest, most prosperous county was progressive? Wouldn't be the Idaho that you would know, would it? Pro-Life joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning, sir. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, the Californians moving here, most of them are trying to flee California, not just for economic reasons, but for moral reasons, because California is descending into moral abyss. So they're trying to come here to Idaho, and I'm saying that here's what I think. If we have real strict moral laws, say like we have no prostitution, you can't get a transgender operation in Idaho, we don't ever legalize marijuana, except maybe for medicinal. And if you get found having pornography on your computer, you get a big fine, something like that. Then the good people want to flee here. Then we can get our kind of people here. But the problem is, can we handle all of those people? Because if we were to do that, the Christian conservative people from all around the United States might want to flee here, and then we would be overrun, and then we would have kind of a growth crisis. We do even now.
I'm saying right now that we have a crisis here in the state.
I agree.
That is going unreported by anybody in the media. We have a crisis of epic proportions. It will not be reported on for a couple of years, and I fear we're going to be overrun.
Yeah, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And so one of the things we could do is just eliminate public schools through a gradual countdown, have an online school, and then that taxation, we could remove that, then more businesses would come here. Then we'd have more businesses to take care of the people who wanted to come here and live here.
Well, that's pretty extreme, getting rid of public schools.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, everything's going to go to online education sooner or later.
Not me.
I mean, people want a babysitter at a brick-and-mortar school, but it's not going to happen. 20 years from now, most of the kids are going to be on their computer doing whatever they're doing.
Pro-Life, thank you for the call and listening to KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, you're welcome.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And quickly to Holly in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning,
Hi,
Holly.
Kevin.
Hello.
So I was wanting to share a little bit of information. When some of the people in the Patriot Group were down reporting on the Bundy trials, they had seen these signs down by the homeless camps. I was trying to find them on Facebook so I could send it to you, that there was a $1,000 fine to go and offer employment or help out someone that living in those camps. I thought that was kind of odd.
I think that really kind of fit into what we were talking about. Not really, but...
well, I thought you were talking about California and people getting a fine for helping people. Doesn't that kind of fit in?
To a degree, yes, but this is what we love about you. You're off.
I saw the fit in because it's like, hello, you're getting in trouble for helping people. Hello, down there, you get in trouble for, offering assistance to other people. And it's like, well, where are the missions and the people out there helping their people, but to make it illegal to actually help your fellow man? I mean, really?
Only in California, and, that could be coming here.
Yeah, I know. So, anyway, I thought it was related, but I don't, anyway. Tell me how you think it's not related.
I don't know. I just heard the every time you call in, it's always about our friends, the Bundys. So I always like how you hijack the topic. So
I wasn't calling to talk about the Bundys. I was just saying those are the people that I saw that reported it. So.
Well, Holly, then here you go. This will never be heard on radio. I'm mistaken. Then you were right and I was wrong.
Oh wow! I won the argument. Thank you. Have a great day. I'm always right. What do you mean, Kevin?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Bye-bye, Holly.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Quickly to traffic and weather together at